4 surprising things that damage your credit. We all know that paying our bills late can damage our credit score. And most of us know that having too much debt is a challenge too. However, there are some seemingly harmless things you can do to harm your credit as well. Here are some surprising things that damage your credit. Number 1, getting the wrong type of credit. Obtaining your financing from the source of your purchase is generally frowned upon. Furniture stores, car dealerships are more of some of the common sources of this second-class credit. They're viewed as credit for those who don't have options. You want to use your bank, your credit union. It doesn't damage your credit score for this reason, but those reviewing your credit history are likely to hold it against you. It does damage your credit score for this one reason. These types of loans have credit limits that match the amount of the purchase. This means your credit is maxed out as soon as you get the deal. We'll cover why that's an issue next, okay? The reason, your utilization ratio is too high. A significant portion of your credit score is determined by how much of your available credit you're using. For example, if your credit card has a credit limit of $2,000 and your balance is $500, then you're utilizing 25% of your credit on that account. And that's smart. You're not using a whole lot. The magic number seems to be around 30%. Avoid using more than 30% of your available credit and you'll be in great shape. That's why 100% utilization is, in the previous tip I gave you, is detrimental to your scores. Your credit utilization is also why closing accounts can damage your credit score. The less credit you have available to you, the higher utilization ratio will be whenever you do use your credit. Consider that fact when you think about closing accounts. Keeping them open raises the amount of your available credit. It just also shows you being responsible. Hard inquiries in the world of credit. There are hard inquiries and there are soft inquiries. Hard inquiries lower your score for a time, while soft inquiries don't affect it at all. A hard inquiry is when a potential creditor looks at your credit report to determine if they will extend credit to you. Okay? It shows that what you're looking for is more credit, opening a new checking account, renting a car with a debit card can also result in hard credit checks, so be mindful of that. A soft inquiry occurs when you look at your credit report yourself, no harm, no foul. It's also a soft inquiry when a current creditor takes a peek at your report to ensure that your credit is still in good shape. Yes, they do that. Since the last time they looked at you, they want to make sure you're keeping it on the up and up. Okay, not using any credit. Perhaps that you feel that you are being financially intelligent, financially responsible if you swear off credit altogether. However, even if you keep your credit cards, if you never use them at all, you're hurting your credit score. You need to have some sort of activity, some sort of payment history. Use your credit cards once in a while. Buy a tank of gas, buy dinner, pay them off at the end of the month, but use them. It's good to keep your credit healthy. Your credit is so important. I mean, your credit is worth keeping all these things in mind. So many things are more expensive when your credit is poor. In fact, many things are sometimes out of your reach if you have a low score. You know, it's very hard to get things on credit if your credit score is bad. Now, remember a couple things that I mentioned here, and be wise. Take a look at your credit report, free annual credit report. Just make sure you're making the right financial decisions so that you can have the best financing. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel for more tips like this. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Share it with somebody who you think might need this information. All right, this is Coach Clarence, and this is Wednesday Wisdom.